Hold on. And then you add the picture of the cop that's kneeling on his neck.
Dude.
Make America white again, wearing that hat.
Why would he be wearing that white hat? What do you mean?
Did you not see the picture of him? It's the same cop wearing Make America White again.
Wearing that hat?
Yes.
No way.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I've seen it floating around.
That sounds fake, dude.
I've seen it floating around.
That
dude.
would be like.
But people are. I've seen it. If I've seen it, they've seen it.
Let's pull it up.
Yeah, I don't
find
that.
it. Find it.
Yeah. Let's investigate this for sure.
Actually, can you start digging that up? Because I think it's going to require a little bit.
Oh, I already
We got to
know.
be real careful on that stuff.
I already know.
Well, for the record, I've seen this picture floating around a lot today.
Is it like
they're spreading it around? They got a picture of him on his neck and the picture next to each other, and they're like, boom.
So in a different picture, this guy was wearing
different picture, yeah.
Oh man,
yeah.
We definitely got to find that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but think about that. It's like, man, that's if this is the case, it's not only. Okay. So people are saying fake. It's a fake picture.
Yeah, that's a fake.
Okay,
it's not the same guy.
All right. So it being fake, that's still being spread around.
Yeah, it's a little piece of propaganda.
Yeah, it's more tinder on the flame of what's going on today.
Let me just give a shout out to the chat. We have the best fact checkers in real
time.
Gosh,
look at this.
I love. Seriously, I love our chat.
I love it.
I love our chat. Yo, shout out to all our people here with us because you guys are awesome. I really appreciate you all.
We got 50 million chats coming in at every second, and it's all fake.
Good, that's cool.
That's great.
But I'm like,
here's the thing.
I can't read any individual one, but seeing fake 1,000 times, I'm like, we got it.
All right, yeah.
Well, I'm glad it is fake.
But that's fine. I wasn't saying that that is the case. Right. It is out there, and people believe it because that is what happened. They don't even read an article. They see the title and post it along and be like, "See, I'm justified. Let's go loot more."
This is what's really making me angry.
Yeah.
That I was talking to a friend of mine who is lefty.
Yeah.
Doesn't follow any conservative news, any conservative personalities, and I brought up that. They're showing these memes of libertarian and conservative two-way activists standing on the steps of Michigan, or reopen activists.
Yeah.
And they're saying things like, "Look what happens when these white people with guns, no one does anything to them." And the joking thing, the first and foremost, is like makes a good point about the Second Amendment, right? Like the cops don't want to get there. Someone made a really great point about this. They tweeted at me and they said, "It's not." Someone tweeted something like, if you give all these rioters weapons and the police started firing tear gas, what do you think would happen? And they responded with no, because the police would be very, very careful if they were dealing with armed activists marching.
Fully armed activists.
They wouldn't just start firing at people. They would back off and they'd calm down because they're trying to desperately avoid a confrontation.
They have to de-escalate.
Here's what really bugged me out. Talking to my friend, and no dig at my friend. My friend just, I was like, it's sad to me that these like 2A activists standing on these steps agree about this guy getting his life taken away from him.
Yep.
And I'm like, this could have been an amazing moment to say, we may disagree on a lot having to do with this, but we can all agree there needs to be justice. And then there could have been this unity. But it really, really messes with me when you see the left doesn't care about what conservatives think. They don't care who these people are.
Yep.
And why are you ragging on these guys? They didn't do anything to you. This was an opportunity for you to reach out your hand and say, we need your help. Like, this guy's rights were violated.
Yep. And
they would have been like, yeah. It's sad, man. People are so driven by tribalism.
Yep.
Who did it? Anyway, I was telling my friend, I was like, what's really fascinating right now about what's happening across the country is that these urban cops have lost the goodwill of so many of the right, so many individuals on the right for violating the Constitution with these decrees. I'm not talking about small town cops. I'm talking about NYPD and LAPD when they were given an executive decree by the governor. And then all of these conservatives were like, you can't do this. And they were like, watch me. And it's like, wow. Oath. And I'm seeing people call them oath breakers. And I'm like, yes.
Technically correct.
That is correct.
Yep.
Because we saw all the good cops, like that guy in Seattle.
Yep.
I'm not going to enforce these unconstitutional laws. You can't make
it. He gets
fired for it.
It's like, that's a boss right there.
Dude.
Yeah.
Upholding the Constitution. You
know what I really, there was this, I think it was the mother of all rallies, it was called, where a bunch of Trump supporters were doing a big thing in DC. Black Lives Matter showed up to protest it. And then the Trump supporters invited him on stage.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Hank Newsome, who's a Black Lives Matter, lefty, cultural guy.
Okay.
Lot of things I disagree with him on, but he's a cool dude. He really is. I think he's a cool dude. So he shows up and they're there to protest, but the Trump supporters were like, why don't you come on stage and tell us? Like, we want to respect you, and
yeah, we want to hear your side of things.
And you know what ended up happening? At first, everyone was a little apprehensive, and then I think it was Hank. He said, "We're not anti-cop. We're anti-bad cop.
Boom.
We want our constitutional rights." And then the crowd goes, "Yeah,
That's great. Yeah, we can all
and I'm
agree on
like,
that.
"Yes."
The crowd, yeah, exactly. And he
And
probably
then-
wasn't expecting that.
No, they thought they were enemies.
Right.
And then when he came down, apparently, like there's photos, like everyone's like trying to get pictures with him, and they're like, "You're really great. Like, this is exactly what we've been saying."
Yeah.
Not realizing, and that, you know what makes me angry? You see these Sarah Silverman. You see
Yeah,
these
I saw that,
celebrities.
right.
They're the ones driving a wedge between us, because we may disagree on like racial issues and social justice, but we agree on our fundamental rights. And there's a line where we might be like, I won't stand next to you because I think you're going nuts. But for fundamental issues like this, we can solve this problem. I think it's to be a bit more on the conspiratorial side. It's they don't want us to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned this the other day, that comic about Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah.
It's a fat cat rich guy in his room, and then there's a bunch of people outside with Occupy signs, and then he's on the phone laughing, saying, "Introduce them to identity politics." And that's it. And then all of a sudden they're fighting each other. And that's
They're trying to maintain that the class system that they have in place.
Make the poor people fight each other, and they don't got to fight us. That's what the crazy thing about Occupy.
Divide and conquer.
Yep.
Occupy was everybody versus the 1%.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the millionaire, black woman is now oppressed, and the homeless white man is the oppressor.
So, would you say that was the start of this?
Identity politics.
Occupy?
Occupy.
Occupy was one of the first social justice like moments in culture,
Okay.
but it had started a couple years earlier in media, and then it manifested physically, as far as I can tell, for the first time with Occupy Wall Street. It was because even during Occupy, it wasn't absolute.
Right.
Like the social justice, SJW dogma stuff, it wasn't absolute. There were people arguing over it.
Mm-hmm.
If there was an Occupy protest today, it would 100% be social justice dogma, intersectionality.
Yeah.
I'll just call it, that's the proper name.
Yeah.
Back then, a lot of people disagreed with it, and there was only a small handful of people enforcing it, because half of the park didn't agree with it, and half did. This is a crazy story, man. With Occupy, there was a group of people living in the park who separated and formed their own governing body. They called it the General Union.
Okay.
Huh.
The General Assembly was the power structure. It was college-educated, upper-class, and trust fund kids. They lived in Brooklyn. They would take the train into the park, hold meetings dictating what to do with all the money they raised. The people who lived in the park, the poor people, decided, because they couldn't get fair representation at the General Assembly, that they would create their own system called the General Union, where your voting power was based on your tent. So you had all these tents, and they said everybody sends a rep from their tent. So if there's 2 or 3 people in a tent, one person goes, and we make decisions. They were going to have their own meeting on the other side of the park. It was the west side of the park. And facilitators, they called them, showed up and shut the event down and wouldn't let them organize. It was the creepiest thing I'd ever seen. Yep. And one of the dudes who organized started crying. So, like, I got threatened by 2 guys. They said they told me to shut up or they'd shut me up, because I was just filming.
Yeah.
I was filming. I'm like, these guys have something to say, and they were like, the General Assembly activists showed up to their side and started going, mic check, mic check, mic check, over and over again, and the crowd just mindlessly drones along so that no meeting could take place. That was creepy. That was really creepy. And then the only thing you could do, they started was go to the General Assembly. They started putting up flyers saying anybody collecting donations for Occupy was scamming you. So the only way to give them money was through their official channel, where they made a bunch of money. One guy was spending nights at luxury hotels. People were stealing stuff.
Oh man.
Yep. And
Sounds like corruption.
absolute corruption. Absolute corruption. And there was one moment, the way that, because the General Assembly didn't work, it was like the General Assembly was everyone sits down and then they say, I want to do this, and then everyone raises their hands. If someone blocked it by making an X, it was stopped until you could get past that block. One block, it was done, unless they moved for like a supermajority. And there was one moment where they were trying to do something with money, and there were a bunch of people blocking it. And so then they said, we can't move forward because we have all these blocks. We're going to vote for a supermajority. And the guy everyone raises their hands, and a bunch of people make the block sign. And then he goes, yep, we got it. We're good. And then they're like, wait, what? No, he goes, no, we're good, everybody. And then they were like, no, wait, what? He didn't even count.
Yeah.
No, he lied. He just rushed it through. One woman claimed that she said, I guess privately, that it got too complicated dealing with what people wanted to vote on, so she would just buy whatever she wanted with the money.
Wow.
Yeah.
At least she's honest.
So anyway, I know I'm going off on a tangent on Occupy stuff.
That's all right.
But there was early on, I guess a lot of people don't know this. There were older people there. There were libertarians there. There were people waving the American flag. There were conservatives. And two things conspired to end that. The first is that young people have more ability to just sleep in a park. There was like a 60-year-old man and woman. Well, they can't sleep in a park.
So their Woodstock days are over.
Right. They showed up. They were there for one weekend, came back the next weekend, and then went home. The people who had jobs said that was a fun weekend and went home. But the people who were, there was a couple trust fund kids there. Like, they just had trust funds. They didn't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So they were there all the time, controlling and dictating and completely clueless how to make these things run. So you ended up with conservatives who have jobs, libertarians who have jobs, and older people who tended to be conservative needing to leave, leaving nothing but young idealists who didn't work.
Interesting. Natural selection.
And then several weeks later, it was a bunch of young people who didn't do anything. There was a lot of corruption, man. There was something happened where rumors started spreading that Radiohead was going to play a performance. Totally fake. And then when thousands of people showed up, they were like, Radiohead's not playing, but now we're going to do a general assembly and you're going to stay. And everyone was scared because they didn't want to create the appearance that they only showed up for Radiohead. So it tricked thousands of people into staying in the park for that duration.
Yeah.
Dude, that stuff was so corrupt. And what's funny is, what's really, really scary about my experience with Occupy Wall Street?
What?
I'm not going to write a book about it. The people who do write books about it are the ones who are romanticizing it.
You got to write a book about it, Tim.
Nope.
Why not?
Because I don't care.
Oh.
And that's the point. Maybe if I write a book at some point, I will write about it.
Yeah.
But you know what'll happen? 12, 24, 36 activists will say Tim Pool's lying. That never happened. And then they'll say, oh, well, it's disputed. See, all of these people who are there agree. Yeah, all the people who want it to be glorified.
Right.
Who ignore the corruption, who ignore how money was stolen.
Or were part of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The people who'd be accused would be... So what'll happen is they'll do a fact check and they'll be like, well, they say it never happened. You say it did. And this other guy said you're lying. So now we have 3 people saying you're lying. That's why I'm not going to get involved. There have already been books written about it that glorify everything.
Well, I was there with you. I can vouch for you.
Occupy?
Yeah, second person.
Yep. That's when I first met you.
You did?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
really?
I don't remember meeting you
What?
at Occupy.
Yep.
Holy
You
cow.
briefly... You mentioned me before, but I only remember meeting you at the game shop in 2014.
That's what. Yeah, that's true. Well, I was there at Wall Street, and I saw you and Luke.
Oh,
and,
right on.
And I think I said no. I don't think I said anything. Maybe we didn't meet at that time. But
Were you like, oh, that's Tim
The
pretty
Pool?
sure.
first time we
Yeah.
met.
Yeah, it was at the game
yeah,
shop. Yeah.
And then you were like, come hang out. We play poker night, but it's magic. And I'm like, yeah, cool.
Yeah,
man.
I went down there a few times though.
Nice.
Yep.
Wow.
At first, it was kind of cool.
Saw
and
that
then
all happening.
it had this period where it became Colonial Williamsburg,
Mm-hmm.
where like tourists were walking in. One of the funniest things was when they gave dumpster food to tourists. I loved that. I walked up and I watched them handing out food to tourists. Like tourists would come by and they would have food laid out and they'd be like, "Ooh, what's this?" And like, "It's free. You can have it."
Little did I know there was vegan pizza. No, I wasn't vegan at the time.
But no, it was funny because I watched them giving out food, and then I asked them where they got the food from, and they were like, dumpster diving.
Yeah.
And I said, "Are you crazy? Do you have any idea what the press would say if they found out you were giving dumpster food to people?" And they immediately panicked and like shuffled it into the trash,
oh
and
my
were
gosh,
like,
what
"Oops."
were they thinking?
They're idealistic hippies who think that like dumpster food is fine. Like they weren't giving people like rotten burgers that were half eaten.
It's like stuff people.
It was like sealed yogurts that were like a day from expiration. And the point I'm making is not that like they've got moldy food and
Freegans.
Exactly. They were freegans. They were finding stores that were getting rid of food that was about to spoil or a couple days past expiration.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's still food and it's still good. You know what's scary about that though? These freegans don't realize that you might not see the mold or the botulism on it.
I think it's gross.
That's why you get rid of it.
It's gross.
They say that like when you see the mold on the bread, that means the bread was already moldy. Like the mold is on it before you can't see it.
Oh yeah.
They were giving that stuff out. Huh. Yeah, dude. So it's very much so in the vein of history is written by the winners. You've got all of these activists who want it to be this the glorious revolution of Occupy, when in reality it was a mashup, mangled, like conspiracy-ridden, corrupt, really just awful thing. But I will tell you one funny thing about it. the evolution of music at Occupy Wall Street was absolutely hilarious. When Occupy first started, people were just banging on buckets. Dum, 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 dum. Then all of a sudden they introduced some like wind instruments. Then someone showed up like, doo, 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 doo. Then someone brought string, and I'm like, by the end of it, there was a full band with real drums and and I was like, it was almost like the evolution of humanity in music.
Literally the evolution of music from the Stone Age.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Like they slowly started incorporating more and more instruments. That to me was really, really funny. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.